In 2157, the First Contact War, also known as the Relay 314 incident by the Turians, was the galactic community's first introduction to the human race, and the humans' first interaction with a sapient and hostile alien species. The incident was sparked by a Turian patrol coming across human explorers activating the dormant Relay 314, now known as the Shang-Chi Theta Relay, and opening fire. All but one of the human ships surrounding the relay was destroyed. This lone human freighter escaped, notifying Alliance Command and returning in force, destroying the entirety of the Turian patrol fleet. When word of this event reached the Turian hierarchy, they mobilized a fleet in response to this unknown alien threat. Humanity at this time had no contact or knowledge of the galactic community. Not knowing the extent of this hostile race's numbers or military might, they too prepared for all-out conflict. The First Contact War had begun. After a few skirmishes in space, the brunt of the fighting focused around the planet of Shang-Chi, the closest human colony to the 314 relay. The Turians quickly overwhelmed the human military in the area and proceeded to set up an orbital position, effectively raining fire on any perceived human threats. General Williams, the leader of the human military on Shang-Chi, waged a guerrilla war against the invaders for a time, but against such brutal methods as recounted by his granddaughter,
the Turians wrecked the orbitals in the first wave and occupied the major cities. They sat in orbit, dropping rocks on anything that moved. Granddad dispersed the troops, but when they went into the cities for supplies, the Turians would wreck a block to eliminate one fire team. Civilians were dying, his troops were starving, and he couldn't contact Alliance High Command, so he surrendered the garrison.
The first occupational surrender to a hostile alien race in humanity's history.
Year 2157 CE. First Contact War. Turian interrogation. Vault T-91.
Sir, we captured this human in the occupation of Shang-Chi.
A human? You're the first I've met.
And you're the first bird I've met.
He was armed with this weapon, sir.
How primitive. Your kind expects to win a war with this.
A bullet is a bullet.
You have so much to learn. And when we conquer your Earth, I look forward to teaching you.
The Turians, however, were not without their own problems of logistics. The situation for sustained orbital positioning and eventual ground troops for occupation of the colony was at risk due to also running out of food. Only being able to ship in resources from other Turian worlds, as the dextroprotein race was unable to confiscate any of the world's, or humans, Levy protein-based foods. I can only assume that while the Turians had complete control over Shang-Chi, the supply lines were being harassed by other Alliance fleets. Nevertheless, the Turians were confident in their position and their victory over Shang-Chi. As such, they were unprepared when the Alliance Second Fleet, led by Admiral Kastani Drescher, wiped out the Turians, regaining a human hold over the colony. In response to this unprecedented loss, the Turians began gearing up for full-scale galactic war. Fortunately for humanity, however, the diplomats of the Alliance and other Council races who recognized the strength of the humans realized how disastrous that would be for both sides, settling an end to hostilities. In the end, 623 human lives were lost in the First Contact War, with slightly higher Turian casualties. Much happened in this short, 3-month-long conflict between the two races. There are many notable events that have long-reaching consequences between how Turians and humans are viewed in the late 22nd century. This conflict signified a great many things in the galactic community, one being that the Turians were perhaps too hot-headed in their role as the Citadel race's police force. While seen by many as an openly aggressive act, the Turians were enforcing Citadel law. Such wanton activation of mass relays was forbidden since the Rachni Wars over 1,000 years prior. As such, the Turians may have thought this was a lone organisation, violating the laws and putting at risk the galactic community. And the frivolous, self-damaging nature of humanity's exploration cannot be discounted either, as at this time they were activating and travelling through every mass relay they came across. This was eventually bound to attract attention. But it's easy to forget how much of a newcomer humanity was to the galactic stage. Protheans being the only confirmed alien civilization humans had known about, some assumed that this might be the foe that they would be facing. As Dr. Bryson states, even as late as 2148, many humans still believed alien life was a myth. That is less than 10 years before the First Contact War began. However this event is viewed, humanity benefited greatly by ending this war peacefully and not prolonging the conflict. The Turians, with the might of the other Citadel races at hand, would have wreaked havoc if full-scale war was to happen. The event also no doubt made other races cautious of humanity, but also impressed the Turians and other Citadel races, being granted an embassy on the Citadel and having a potential Spectre candidate with David Anderson only 8 years later. So that's it, that's the First Contact War condensed into however many minutes this video ends up being. There is so much more I wish I could go into. Some very interesting things happen, or at least start as a consequence of this event. Human biotics being properly trained, nukes sent off into Turian space, and of course one of the biggest being a certain veteran of this war going on to found a certain paramilitary organization named after a certain three-headed dog. But that is a video for another time. Thank you so much for listening if you have indeed listened this far. I do have other videos planned for the Mass Effect universe, and please like and subscribe if you are at all interested. Dooland out.
We can't allow the mistakes of our past to cloud the future. Your race and mine were once enemies. The First Contact War, as you call it. I was there, dodging shells fired by your navy. But look at us now, standing in a ship of Turian human design, working together.